First of all, thank you so much, and thank you so much to Mr. Gokul if he's here, and for explaining in such depth about DigiPin. Now, what is DigiPin? In a simple way, it is 4 by 4 uh, geospatial location of any location, so that there is a large problem of fake addresses, incomplete addresses, which logistics companies, courier companies, even we in our day-to-day life face by sending live location, by sending your address location or incomplete address. People waste time in finding locations. So that is a problem. It's estimated, there are multiple estimates that how much efforts the taxi company or the courier companies or logistics and supply chain companies waste in locating addresses. This will help that problem. There are multiple use cases or precedences rather globally, the UK postcode where UK has adopted geolocation based coding with the last 3 digit, demarcating the actual location of that address. So this is something which is very interesting that Government of India has launched in last July, and we will be talking in much more detail about this. We have a panel from logistics company, from DTDC. We have panelists from AI-based firms which are building model to locate such addresses by using various models. So I would request everybody to do a brief round of introduction of yourself and tell us about your firm. I'll request 2 to 3 minutes each so that we have enough time for the questions. Yeah, I think Ambrish, you can start from you.
Actually, I'm the last bencher, so this is the first time I'm just coming like in the first bencher. So thank you. My name is Dr. Ambrish Kumar, and I'm founder and CEO of Zipaworld Innovation Private Limited. So we have a cross-border, multi-modal logistics solution. It's a completely AI-based kind of thing. I think just 30 seconds, okay.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Rajesh Nair. I head DTDC for the North Zone as a VP here, taking care of the revenue and the operations as well. So, yes, very interesting topic, Ravindra, I believe. So we'll have a lot of inputs. I'm sure this is going to be very interesting in terms of a lot of knowledge and a lot of add-on values. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Nimit. Thank you for inviting me on the panel. I'm the co-founder of Geo-Auto. Geo helps small businesses around the world plan their routes for their services or delivery. We operate in about 146 countries with 2 million drivers and about 10,000 businesses. Because we operate around, we have seen the models in different cases, and I believe DGBIN, if implemented and rolled out properly, will leapfrog us as UP has leapfrogged us in terms of fintech.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rohan. I lead the data science and AI teams within Delhivery. Delhivery is one of the largest third-party logistic companies within the country. We serve e-commerce, B2B, and dealing with addresses. I think that has been a major challenge or opportunity for us, and looking forward to give my inputs and discuss more on the topic.
Hello and good afternoon. First of all, hello to my fellow panelists and the moderator. My name is Kushal Rajveer. I head supply chain strategy and growth for Here Technologies based out of Singapore. Here Technologies is one of the location intelligence pioneers over 40 decades. We gave the world its first digital map. We do a lot of stuff within the location intelligence arena and ecosystems, helping all kind of businesses, right from enterprise to small scale, to do the magic in supply chain and solve problems on the real world front. Excited to be here, and thank you.
Yeah, I think, thank you so much. So I was just going through some statistics that I'd like to share, that incomplete addresses, fake addresses, or poorly constructed addresses systems contribute to approximately 10 to 14 billion. One of the largest analyst firm has estimated this, to the logistics firms. So I would like to understand this Digi Postal Identification Number, Digi PIN. So it's good that a unique number is there to locate any address, but how to move towards the adoption? Because we are used to of PIN, and adoption is always a challenge. People, there is no incentive, there is no driver. People are kind of, how to build that inertia to ensure that DigiPin is widely adopted? I think I'd like to have your view, Ambrish.
I think it's an ecosystem when it's come to the adaptation. So the government and then private player. So I will say like buyer and seller kind of thing. Okay. So customer is also responsible, and the people who's going to give this kind of service also responsible. So we need to just take both of the people on the one platform. For that, we just require someone to monitor, that is the government. In this case, I feel like, first of all, just take the example of DG Yatra. I think this is the best, I feel. So DG Yatra, it's airlines, which whenever you will sit in any airlines, domestic I'm talking about, okay, they will just talk about like, download the Digi Yatra portal, and there you will get a lot of benefit, okay. The same thing is there on the lot of website people started using initially, and then they understood like what are the benefit they are just getting. Apart from that, unless or until they will don't know how they are going to use this service, then you will not get the result itself. So for an example, DG Yatra, it was very easy to upload the or download the app, and it just like upload the Aadhaar card and you can just do that part. So far DG PIN, like what is the process, how we need to do that. So initially certain advertisement has to be there, that is one thing. Apart from that, certain incentive, what you have mentioned, that has to be there, especially if you are using DG PIN, so you will get XYZ benefit. Let's example from the government side also, that if they are just in the emergency services, just kind of ambulance or some kind of thing, so they can just show certain data like 30 minutes, those who have just shared their DG PIN, they have received the ambulance in just 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So these are the way I think we can just, just bring the people.
Sure. So I think in terms of the estimates, Rajesh, that I'd like to understand that DigiPin, how your existing models that you use to routing your delivery in a right way, how DigiPin is going to add to your existing methods, like we were discussing about Polygon and other OCR based addresses. So how this DigiPin is going to add to your strategy in terms of locating their addresses in a much faster way, and or will it add? And what are your views on adoption part? Because people are used to of this, government is used to of issuing PIN, and everybody locates themselves as addresses. So how the adoption can play a role, because it has impact. We have seen globally this structured addresses and rightly locatable addresses add to the economy. So we would like to understand from the adoption part, what is your point of view?
Yeah, right. I think considering the Indian population and the vast, numbers, adoption comes with a belief of trust, creating a trust, and the acceptance. Today, probably the biggest challenge for this thing to happen is the awareness. Today, I don't think still people are aware of the DigiPin. Maybe out of 100, maybe 1 or 2 is aware of the DigiPin, what exactly it does. The same time, how we make them to accept and what kind of benefits are there. For example, if I talk about when we use this G Suite, you have that blue tick there along with all the email IDs confirming the authenticity of that particular email ID. Same way, first of all, maybe that authenticity has to be built up, that this is something which is for you, and this is coming from the right digital platform, because today's scenario, considering the huge issues happening, in terms of e-commerce and wherever, all these wrong things happening, I think that belief has to be created first from the audience. And what are the benefits? For example, today we are using, especially in the e-commerce platform, many addresses where we give our address for the deliveries. Maybe these addresses can be connected with the DGPN and say this is authenticity is there as far as this address is concerned. Once this happens, once the adoption part starts, considering there is a value to it and there is a benefit to it, and this could be a common platform for all the future requirements as far as the address is concerned. So whether it is the registration of a house or maybe a location where you are continuously move on, so this gives an authenticity. And as far as the logistic industry is concerned, where we still have so much of fake deliveries. For example, if I talk about Gurgaon, which is considered as a pure single pin code delivery, and that single pin code covers huge area. So this helps. If I talk about the polygon mapping, what we are doing is we are these kind of areas are broken into a small 6-grid area, so that we know the accuracy, and accordingly probably we can easily go. There would be a huge sea change in terms of logistics formalities.
Sure. I think 2 points combining trust, like DigiYatra created trust and value. Gradually people, if they start believing that this is going to do a value add, it will get adopted, right? So I think, Nimit, from the Zio Autos, you have like one of the largest firm which is supporting the auto companies. You have 3,000 plus enterprise clients, and primarily your organization helps in the location or right location for the companies which are using map services or location services. So let me know, like, because India has proved that we can do UPI, all drivers can understand map really well, all drivers can understand the incentives structure very well and act really smartly. So DigiPin adoption will not take much time, but how still we can expedite the adoption in your particular auto location area?
So I'll take a couple of points about what UK did and what we had seen. There'll be some learning and some not, because when UK rolled it out in 1974, UK Post was the only medium of communication. There was no internet, there was no telephone, so people used the UK Post pin. So anything which we'll have to do will have to be zero budget. I'm not too sure if the government will spend. So what are the things which they can do? One thing is make sure that when somebody is coming for Aadhaar registration or some other registration, the DigiPin is provided to them at that point of time. It will solve two problems. What is in it for the government to do that? Right now we hear newspaper articles, 20 addresses linked to one Aadhaar for one PDS. So make PDS delivery linked to your DigiPin, that you should have a DigiPin and do. The second problem which comes around is how do you get people to know what their DigiPin is at a given point of time? Now, frankly speaking, for large players, Flipkart, Amazon, all the big players have solved the geolocation problem. When you go, you put in a pin and that is your pin and the delivery addresses can come. But it is still not solved for smaller players, a lot of D2C players who have their own website. If there is a widget which is just know my DigiPin and this is put out, it will solve the biggest drop off which happens for any D2C player is at the point of checkout. How do you make that checkout faster? If you stop that 5 address line registration and you say you directly just put in the pin or you put in the address, that will be incentivized for all the D2C players to put it out there and to take it forward. The other point is because it's a location address, the first thing which we'll have to do is let people know what a DigiPin is. Other zero cost, again, it's an idea because startups normally have to hack around. You make it a point that if you know DigiPin, you'll get certain amount of coupons. You go to PhonePe everywhere, there are people who give you coupons at the end of the day. You know my DigiPin. Any business, anything which the Sarkar does will have millions of downloads directly. Just have that app, tie up with them, tell that zero cost, you do, we'll put in the coupon, and these are location specific coupon. Your city, if somebody finds a DigiPin, coupons for that will be funded, the money for the app will come itself and people will start knowing DigiPin. Once you know, as sir said, combine it with, add something else, say it is more private than putting in your address. I put at Nimit Mehra at India Post anywhere, my address will come directly. Nobody needs to know. In the server of any of the logistic players, my address will not be served, but this pin will be served, and the API call will go to DG Post and come back. So it solves privacy, it solves the zero cost problem, and it solves it in a way where the government PDS delivery is linked to it, so the government has more visibility on what is happening.
No, absolutely. So, learning from you that the government is, so I'll take it one step ahead. For at DigiLocker, there are like 2000 plus government document issuers, which upload your documents once these are issued, like 10th certificates, CBSE certificates. They're all addresses are there. Every document which is issued by government should have DigiPin along with Aadhaar. Of course, Aadhaar is a kind of connecting thread, but every document should have, so that people are aware. Right now, awareness is not there. If government adopts in all this documentation, all the property code or property addresses, or all the like in agriculture land spaces, if government adopts it, at least people will become aware this is government issued address. Then the trust start building in.
That is exactly how UK did it. It's mandated, and their NHS started using on the basis of the address.
Yeah, that is something that will build the trust that you said. Absolutely. So, coming to you, Rohan, in terms of like delivery, undoubtedly the kind of largest third-party delivery company, and you serve like I would say 99% of the 5%, 99.5% of the pin codes, even more than that, and you have like 30,000 plus businesses served as per our research. So tell us that delivery being the firm adopted or trusted by largest of the largest e-commerce players in India, how this is going to help further? You have your internal address identification mechanism. You have your addition like algorithm. How this is going to augment your address location aspects?
As you rightly said, we have built algorithms over time by doing more than 2 million deliveries a day, that we are able to locate a lot of our customers. When I'm saying a lot, it would mean close to 90% of customers who are ordering online, we would be able to estimate their location precisely. But 10% of them are still left. And when you multiply this at every step, let's say we want to do route sequencing or last mile routing for all of them, those maybe 5 to 10% of parcel have to be looked at manually. Somebody has to figure that out, and at a, let's say, a facility level, the kind of people that we have, they would not be able to enter that information back to the system. So if we had every location precisely, then the productivity gain will be very large. Like if you compare US to India, a FedEx rider in US would make anywhere close to 200 deliveries, and in India, a rider would stretch to about 100 deliveries. There are location is one reason for it. Obviously, OTPs, we don't trust customers. That's another reason that delivery takes a while. But finding or navigating to the correct address is definitely one reason. So productivity loss is there for the entire ecosystem because we are estimating the location. We can try to be as precise, but still new customers come, we go to villages, rural areas. There, the addressing system completely fails. Like if you look at a typical village in India, the way somebody writes an address is their name. They would say Rohan Anand in this village. That's the address. You can't possibly locate it without talking to that person for about 2 to 3 minutes. Right? So that's the, if you compound all of this throughout the day, it would lead to significant productivity gains.
Correct.
And DigiPin, if it starts coming into addresses, it's very easy to adopt because it's a open source decoding method that you can put a DigiPin and you get the lat long. So it will be easy to adopt. One other fact that we tried doing this for a lot of bad or incomplete addresses. We tried a pilot that Whenever we feel that we are not sure about the address quality or the location doesn't seem to be precise, we used to send WhatsApp messages to people that maybe you would want to share the location again for quicker deliveries. Even then, we found that when people are sharing their location, about more than 20% of time, the location that they shared for their own address was wrong. So it's not, when you go into depth of it, it's not very easy to get the system moving, considering the demographics of India. We are sitting in this room, we find all of these systems very simple, but when we consider India as a whole and the way e-commerce has penetrated, a lot of innovation has to be done for it to be really adopted.
No, I totally believe. See, now the privacy angle coming in, we have to share our phone number with every delivery partner. Now, will there be a need of not sharing the phone number and only the address is enough because they need not to call you. That time saving of the customers will also be addressed by this. So not only of delivery partner, from customers also, I think this will be impactful. Right. So I think I'll come to you, Kushal, in terms of like hair technologies. You offer, your organization offers like navigation or safety information or safety related enterprise softwares and products. So would like to, like for us, we would like to understand more about the products that you are offering in terms of navigation related challenges that India faces. So would like to understand about your products.
Right. At Here Technologies, primarily, we have been pioneers on the enterprise-grade location intelligence, which has been ongoing for four decades almost. We have a very strong OEM automobile DNA from where we actually take a lot of probe data ingested into the entire platform. Plus, there's a lot of aggregation models that we use, a lot of algorithms that we use when it comes to the entire power of location intelligence. Now, over the years, that what we have learned that all this particular data and intel point is very useful for multiple use cases within the navigational framework, which is not only the cars and trucks, but also for the other periphery when it comes to the services side and supply chain side. It becomes more about not where, but how and when. And this is where a lot of our services, and basically we are an API company, right? So we enable other tech companies to build solutions on top. But what we can do, or what we have strived, that how do we ensure that a particular freshness of map and data is there? I mean, in our world, there's a saying that no map is a perfect map. But at the same time, we strive to understand the real-term mechanics of how the real world is changing. Just to give a context to the audience, and one of the technologies that we use, a still image or a static image probably would, a normal human eye can only look at 25, 30 attributes. When you go into the GIS, location intelligence kind of a lens, and Rohan would agree, we have computational strength of looking at around over 900 attributes, which kind of makes sense. And just imagine the power that if you put in those kind of parameters into planning, execution, post-trip, and then kind of inject this entire intelligence on making things move with not only where, as I said, but how and when, then it all comes together. So at Here, we strive not only putting perspective with what is happening, but how the real world is changing and how fast we can ingest that particular change for users to process and companies and enterprise to process.
Right, right. I think this is informative. I'll come back to Ambrish for our second segment of questions, which is more on the technology aspect that we had planned. So I think DigiPin will need help of government by issuing documents, the ecosystem that you told, and the trust which is required. Would like to understand from your perspective, like how public and private partnership, like government and the the private sector can come together to the faster adoption. And we have to ensure that this is not only for the private sector, even government service delivery can also be improved. Suppose for any government benefit deliveries which is based upon the location, it can be delivered much faster. So it is how government and private sector can work together to expedite the adoption.
Yeah, so first of all, I think we should just create a central database, national addressing system or some kind of thing, okay, where like the APIs should be shared with all the stakeholder, all the logistic players or like private institution or like the government institution where anybody can do the live update kind of thing. So for an example, if delivery is doing, making certain attempt and it's not working, okay, and then sometime Swiggy has the same kind of data, but they have put the correct data, so they can just update kind of thing. So mutually, like we need to just share the information. That is one thing. Apart from that, I think I'm just trying to jump here and there, so you need to excuse me. The privacy, you are talking about the privacy, and so I think blockchain can help us on that part, that everybody should have a access of limited access has to be there, okay. So people can just access the data, but they have a limited role, what they can just see in that data. So we have also done in our organizations also, so we are like a multimodal logistic solution, where like the first mile, then middle mile and the last mile, and we are dealing with the customs also, we are dealing with the banks also, DGFT also. So we just prepare certain data, you just simply just upload the invoice and you can create all the data. So we have given this limited access to everyone. And for an example, tomorrow, let's example, port is there, okay, if they have certain issue, so they just update any information and all the stakeholders are just getting the information, live information, okay. The same similar kind of thing. So for an example, you just think, or like I think a digital twin can be the best example, like, you know, where we can just make certain cases and basis of that, like, you know, we can just share the information to everyone. So that's what like my thought process is there.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. I think coming to you from DTDC perspective, that you mentioned that you are already using Polygon and OCR based method for locating or to avoid or to addressing the fake addresses or incomplete addresses problem. Would like to share that those two models so that the industry can also understand that what are the technology models which are available to address this problem along with DigiPin.
See, basically, if I talk about the OCR part, it actually captures the handwritten and the digital. I mean, you know, it converts the text, whatever it's written, into a digital format. And with this kind of approach, you'll see, one, the data is captured and it is stored in the system. So whenever that address again comes to us, so we have that data available in the system. So that means existing data can be connected with the DigiPin. It will be easy for us to do those deliveries without any fake attempts or failed attempts. At the same time, this is an ongoing activity right now, which DTDC is doing right now, still 3 to 4%. You know, there are addresses where we are finding it a little challenge, and that is under process. As far as the polygon mapping is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, you know, it is basically from the tradition-based pin code, we are coming out from there, and we are getting into a grid-based model where every location is actually converted into small grids so that we can identify it with an area and come out from the dependency of the pin code, pin code dependency. So this both together, it helps to go back and fasten our deliveries, the fake attempts or the fake deliveries, or at the same time, the authenticity in terms of giving the right results. So that actually gives an extra edge for logistic industry.
Right. I think coming from OCR model and various LLM models, Nimit, I think I'd like to understand that how the various LLM models and OCR models comparatively, because I believe that OCR models are doing well and LMM models are challenging the OCR model. So like to understand your view that which achieves the higher accuracy in terms of solving this major challenge.
So I think it's been 2 years since ChatGPT first came out. Since then, obviously, there has been a lot of progress on the LLM side. The costs have gone down, but and we are constantly testing. But LLMs are still not at the level where we are confident they are production ready. Why is that? So the couple of problems which come is, say there's a delivery run to 20 addresses. 95% of times LLM will give you all the 20 addresses to the T, and they will be able to do reading better than the OCR. But then there will be the about 5% of instances where instead of 20 addresses, you will have about 18 addresses or something. Or the other common thing which is coming now is, so previously there were hallucination, but I think with the latest models that has gone away. The problem which comes down is sometimes they will put the name of the third address in the second address. So while the address is the second address, the person's name is that of a third address. Because LLMs are a probabilistic model, OCR is still a lot more deterministic model. My sense is, give it 6 months to 12 months, the way the technology is progressing and the way it's going, I think the APIs will improve, and we should be able to get to the point where LLMs do improve, which is why we keep on testing, hoping that we get it to the threshold where it is production ready. But yes, that's what is happening right now.
Sure. And let's see that at next, I think IDS, let's discuss it again, that which technology has progressed. So I think coming to you from the delivery perspective, addresses, I'll not go to the address location and those are one aspect on the RTO predictors. I'd like to understand that from COD perspective, cash on delivery perspective, how these models are structured in delivery, and any learning for e-commerce startups which are listening to this conversation or attending this. So would like to understand from the delivery perspective, because you are delivering 2 million orders per day. So over to you.
So RTO is a big loss for everyone in the ecosystem. Companies are not able to put the products back in the shelf faster. They lose on the logistic cost. At the same time, delivery companies have to make multiple attempts, so there's productivity loss there as well. RTO, I think again it's a matter of adoption in the ecosystem. RTO is like a risk score, like you are giving out a loan to someone. Fintech people are more aware of. There's a risk score that this person is slightly risky person. So the way it is handled in fintech domain is you charge a higher interest. So something parallel to that has to be there within e-commerce. It's again who blinks first. Some people have started charging extra for COD. The methods on, let's say, discouraging COD or doing a partial prepaid, some of these methods are being employed, and that's when a model will be like more helpful, because you can certainly not say that since a customer is risky, I'll probably not ship to it, given the gross margin profiles of every company is different. But the way we have done it is we have enabled it to all the customers within delivery, that they're able to see a certain score. And then we suggest the intervention that they can do. You can probably call a customer and confirm that whether they're really interested in buying this. Then you can probably convert them to prepaid, talk to them. So these are some of the things that we have done, and that is not only for customer shipping with delivery only. We have exposed this as APIs for anyone to use as well. And as far as addresses are concerned, sure, I mean, if somebody is entering a bad address, it contributes to the risk score. It's about 50% higher chances than default that somebody enters a wrong address. It has higher chance of being returned. So those are there, and we look at about 10 attributes. I can't name all of them, but those are taken into account to come to model where we are able to see a high reduction uh, in the RTO patterns based on our own delivery data.
So I think in fintech, as you said, that this is much more prevalent, where you define the high risk areas from where the transaction originating may be fraudulent. So they identify and build the risk model or risk prevention model by delaying the transaction or alerting users or even denying the transaction. Of course, denying is rare, but they alert the user that this is coming from, you are located here and your transactions are being originated from far away. So I think the such models are emerging more in fintech. Of course, in RTO, definitely it is adding value. So I think coming to you, Kushal, that in terms of like your navigation solutions for enterprises, they help in pre-planning as well as the operational delivery, both aspects. So would like to understand the actual value add in terms of numbers, or if you can share the value add in the efficiency of the delivery. If and any of the delivery firm or logistics firms should leverage your solution to understand post this efficiency that you are bringing in. Would like to understand the level of efficiency that you build in.
Sure, thanks. That's a great question. I think my esteemed colleagues here, panelists, have spoken about a little bit on the operation sector. So let me take a step back and talk about this from the lens of not only talking only from a static geocoding addressing, but how this concept actually applies to a real-world operational environment. For that, I would love to speak about one of the projects that we did with Singapore ports. And as everybody would know, that ports are like F1 pit stop. You know, you have a vessel coming in, the port earns money on the kind of turnarounds that they can achieve, the kind of boxes they can upload and then load. And then there's an entire traffic mechanism, right from truckers, right from the movements that happens inside the port. The Singapore ports actually experienced diminishing KPIs when the dwell times were more. You know, the truckers were not able to come within the vicinity. There were huge traffic jams. And with these minds means we sat down and we tried to understand that what's causing it. Singapore's like a small island, means, 200 or truckers ecosystem, anything between 5 to 200 trucks each player owns. So when we double clicked and zoomed in, we understood that actually the entire trucking fraternity is not using any advanced geospatial or location intelligence driven platform for any pre-planning, execution, and obviously doing analysis on the post trips. What we also figured it out that at that point of time, those trucks were running 37% of time empty, which is, a huge operational efficiency loss if we go towards carbon and, all that stuff. So, that's on top on that. And with time, we understood that what's causing it. It's most the companies are still operating on a very primitive Excel-based planning tool. There is no actual systems to guide the drivers that, how a truck attribute in a real world, applies to a particular route. So we did all that. And we sat down with them and we created a particular solution platform with PSA, Port of Authority of Singapore, where we created a Uber-like service for all the truckers. So it was hard geocoded locations where they are parked, where they are going to pick goods, what's the dwell time, the real-time positioning, and then the job allocation based on, their real-world proximity. So it was a very advanced solution. Coincidentally, it was picked up and the minister gave an update on this particular project in Singapore Parliament. It was such of importance. So that was just one example, and the POC showed that we could save out of those 37%, around 67% of the empty runs were converted into loads. So touching hardcore operational numbers here, it was a massive boost. And of course means, for Singapore, small state, means this was like...
So what are your plans for India?
Well, we have on the same principles of looking at how a particular technology can be applied on the pre-planning, execution, and post-trip. We have come across with a very specialized niche solution on the truck navigation parameters. So, it talks about that, first of all, how and in what capacities the truck and the vehicle has to be procured and planned, then what is the particular and the best route for that particular truck to, deliver goods. So again, from my previous answer, it's not only where, but how and when. So which are the routes where they're allowed, what are the timings, if there are any bridge there that they need to be configured to. So there's so many different parameters when it comes to planning. But when the truck actually goes and hits the road, there can be so many different changes that comes in. There can be closures, incidents, accidents, rains, waterlogging.
Right.
So
No, I understand. I think your potential clients are here who can who can leverage your solutions. So I think from back, we are closing to the time, and uh, I'll come to Rohan from your side. Like, government has come up with this DigiPin. Any other area in terms of geospatial policies, or any recommendations or any suggestions that you have to the government that may be considered in the further policy making? Anything that you face that is a good precedence in other country? Just 1 minute so that we can close in time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one major challenge, if you think all of us still depend on Google Maps to navigate. Imagine that if Google Maps shut down, the productivity loss in the country will be very huge. So something like owning our own roads data. The roads and navigation data has to be open sourced, and that can be maintained by the government. We're already working with the GDPDC, which is the new geospatial policy. We're working with them, and government is also trying to get all the geospatial data at one place. But roads and traffic data, if that is available in some form, that will be very helpful.
Great, great. Thank you so much. And coming back to you, Nimit, any same question to you. Quick ask, if you have something very specific that you think that may be considered in next years for government learning from various countries in where your model or your clients are.
Well, I think one is obviously adoption. Geocoding is an issue, and I think as Rohan mentioned, the other thing is that in India we unfortunately rely a lot on foreign players to give the data about our own country. We do not have, as I see in the US, there are documents. What is the road, whether it's all-weather road, snow road, what is the load it can take, what is navigation it can take, and on top of it, then the mapping providers come with the traffic data and other data.
Right.
Uh, uh, Things like that are not available in India. I had long back worked, and we used to transfer a turbine from one plant to another. An empty truck had to go and check out the load and the turning radius at every given point of time. If this kind of data is published, then obviously we will have a lot more players, and a lot of B2B related, load related things will get solved.
Okay, great. I think from DTDC perspective, from the cross-border, I think you work more on the cross-border related traffic also. So any inputs on policy aspects or systems aspects that government may look forward to, or anything that you think that is doable on the delivery part that can improve the efficiency.
Yeah, I strongly feel that, the assurance in terms of data security is very critical when you talk about the cross-border. So I think till the time, if you don't get that kind of assurance, the acceptance will not be there. So I feel, yes, definitely the scope is huge. Dependency is very limited right now. Multi-models has to be there, multi-platforms has to be there. But at the same time, somewhere down the line, we need to also ensure the user have a multiple level of involvement, so that the dependency goes from one player, goes nullified and moves to the other. We have a plan B ready with us.
That's important. I think we had deliberated during our session that before this, that in cross-border area, what are the specific things? One aspect on the consistency of the data across various other sources. Uh, government sources even, that how that is relevant, like how, whether it is it consistent, or do you think there is a need of consistent one source of data from geospatial perspective?
So I think first of all, like government of India has to integrate their own department itself. Okay, so I will just give you the example DGFT and the custom, but customs comes under DGFT, but they are not talking to each other. Even if we talk about the RBI and the banks, in fact, okay, or RBI data is telling something, and the custom data is something. Okay, so if we are going to integrate all the government departments, okay, you will find a fantastic result itself. Okay, so first of all, they need to integrate their system itself. Okay,
Yeah, I think that is something we can conclude with, that if you have to move up in the AI value chain or global AI value chain, the one source is that the data sources coming from government or consistent data availability, so that the much more specific models can be built. For test data, for running the models, it's really important. That opendata.gov can look forward to it. And now personal data protection rules are out. Now non-personal data, trends data can be the next thing. I think thank you so much. We have time for one question if anybody would like to ask any particular aspect that we have deliberated. Otherwise, we are there for lunch and we can deliberate there also. Okay, no issues. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to the panelists. Really
Thank you.
insightful and learning experience for me. Thank you.
Thank you.